Welcome back to the channel. There hasn't been much to cover recently, and I've been dealing with some lighting issues. I'm trying a new light that Ted Forbes recommended, the Nan light. So, trying to see how that goes. But we do have some important news today from yesterday, well, depending on when you're watching this. Canon made an official announcement about a new camera that is coming out soon. There's no ETA yet, but it's kind of assumed that it's going to be available for like the Olympics and everything coming up, kind of soon for the most part. No price or anything for this. But we're hearing about a new flagship camera they want to create in the mirrorless line, the Canon EOS R3. Now, this camera looks like it's going to be their main big boy sports camera, like their, digital DSLR 1DX series camera. It's going to have the unibody frame, the both shutters, naturally, vertically as well. So expect big things from this, but they also released a couple little interesting features. So let's talk about them and see how useful they might be. But the Canon EOS R3, is it taking on Sony's A9 line? A1? Who knows? Let's talk a little bit. So like I said, this camera is going to be their new unibody, like the mirrorless version of the 1DX line. And I've had the 1DX line before too, and they're amazing cameras. Of course, they're a bit pricey. And that's one of the things, that's one of the big things a lot of people are going to say about this type of camera, even comparing it to like the A9, etc., is that it's going to cost some money. But if you're in the field, if you're shooting sports, anything that, is demanding, you're going to already pay that price. So that argument kind of goes out the window. It's not for everyone. But that being said, a couple things Canon wanted to emphasize when they made the announcement is they want to emphasize the speed, which makes sense. It's targeted for sports, most likely. Performance and reliability. The reliability part, anyone could say that. But the performance part, I'm guessing, is in relating to a couple of the features that they announced. And really, one of the biggest features they said, this is the first time, and this has been talked about for a couple years now, that you will have control over autofocusing in the viewfinder by using your eyes. So that means if I'm looking at something specifically, I don't know how the heck this is going to work. But if I'm looking at something, like if I'm doing a wedding or a sporting event, and I'm tracking it and I turn my eyes with the action, it's supposed to follow, and it's going to use its AI to learn how to follow. Now, I'm someone who looks around the frame, all depending on where I keep my, my autofocusing point at. So I'm sure you could turn it off and on, which I hope that's the case. If so, I think it's a really, really cool thing to try. But I don't know. It sounds a little gimmicky, and I don't know. It's brand new technology. I'd be very, very intrigued to see how it works, especially in the real world. Like, once again, if you're doing portraits, it's kind of useless because you're not, you set around the eyes and you're good. But like if you're doing sports or something, I guess it's moving, and I guess I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the eye autofocus, it knowing what you're looking at in your viewfinder, and it keeping focus or trying to focus on whatever you're looking at. Write that down in the comments below. That's kind of one of the bigger things that come out of this announcement from Canon is that autofocusing adjustment. But we know it's going to be full frame, mirrorless, obviously the bigger part, the AF right there. But their new sensor that they're trying in it is going to be a push to kind of eliminate most of the rolling shutter you get when you're moving your camera in regards to video and fast action. So if you're doing that fast action, you get that less warbly effect, the jelloing when you move your camera. So that's the hope they're doing that right there. There isn't a lot to it, and I think it's important that Canon finally take a lot of this stuff seriously. And don't get me wrong, Canon has been doing a phenomenal job in regards to taking mirrorless seriously. But they haven't released that one camera like Sony's been doing that's like, hey, here is our full flagship. They've been making some great other cameras, great competitors out there, R6, R5, etc. Very good sellers for them despite everything, going on in the economy, and Sony and Fuji being at the top of the chain now. Nikon is one that seriously has to step up in the mirrorless game. But Canon, I think, with this announcement, with what they're doing, once again, we don't fully know. But to be put out there to know that they're like, we're doing something here. It's going to be a pricey camera. We're trying something new. I think it's very promising and actually a little refreshing into what is a pretty boring gear world at this point. Tech talk, everything is really kind of lame. And, you know, Canon's coming out with some new RF lenses as well to go along with this. 100 millimeter, 400 millimeter, something like that. But other than that, gear's kind of boring. So I haven't covered a lot of it because I've been pretty bored myself. But I think it's important to cover this R3 and what it might be, because I think it's a big step for Canon even more into the mirrorless world, and for them to finally, you know, just like commit to it. Like, hey, we're making something for this now. And at this point, it just makes sense. So excited to see what this officially be. Obviously, when more actual specs and everything come out, we'll definitely cover it if it's worthy. But IAF viewfinder tracking, will it follow? Who knows? Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on that. And the R3. Is Canon finally really kind of stepping up to Sony here? Let me know your thoughts.